All right, we're here today from the center of the epicenter of the earthquake. Mark Puttenbrink's house. Mark, you're right on top of the epicenter, aren't you? You're pretty close.
Yeah. So it's called the Ramapo Fault, and it runs underneath or around the Ramapo River, which is only it's a half a mile from where I live. Yeah. So I do all my hiking back that way. Yeah.
Very good. Molly, great to see you.
Nice to see you, and I'm glad, Mark. I'm glad you're all right.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, for 15, I bet you, I don't know if it was 15 seconds, but it was pretty long from beginning to end. And everybody's saying the same thing. We heard a loud boom first. Yeah. That's why I thought maybe a transformer. My initial thought was a transformer blew, but then when I literally felt, because we have a ground floor, first floor, I actually felt the ground moving. I said, no, it doesn't. That's something.
Molly, have you been in an earthquake before?
I'm knocking on wood right now. No.
Oh, okay. No. Actually, yeah, kind of exciting. I hate to say it, but I've been in a few of them. When I was out in California, we were in a couple. And Mark and I were talking. They're different in California than New York. In California, they more roll. Around here in New York, it's more like that bang. So, yes, wild. Yes. All right. How was everybody's weekend?
Good.
I guess it's Friday. What am I talking about? How's everybody's week?
I know we're off.
Yeah. Good. And the weekend was good too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Was it last weekend was Easter or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's good. Ooh, we had the sourdough bread going. My kids were like, they hate to compliment me on anything, but sourdough bread, they're going, that's unbelievable.
I bet. How did the steaks turn out?
Excellent. Thank you. I just, actually, I gave them the option. I was going to use your cheesy bread recipe, but they're very healthy and everything. They said, do you want me to make the cheesy bread? They said, no. They're very diplomatic. They said, why ruin a good thing? They said. So we just
that's a good
steaks are good. Charred them up, sliced them all up. Oh, they're juicy. And I took Mark's advice to make sure they rest for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
Yes, it does. Corn on the cob. Nice. Came out the same way next day, as predicted.
As predicted.
Are we right back to that topic?
Oh, sure. Poops on every one of my shows. Sooner or later, we get some form of poop topic. Now I'm on to bidets now. Bidets are my big thing. Trying to determine the value. Because I get this whole thing where, okay, the whole process, like say normally without a bidet, you just wipe your bum, you're done, right? With the bidet, you still have to wipe a little bit, right? You can't just have things hanging on there. And then you have to spray in there. And the whole process of getting the spray in the right spot. I mean, I watched some videos that guys are sitting down. Yeah, a guy's using the bidet and the water's going up their back and everything like that. It's like you're going to take a shower all over again. And then you got to wipe it. You got to get a towel now to wipe yourself. And then what if you didn't get all of it? Then the poop gets on your towel.
You really put a lot of thought in
it. Yeah. Well, this whole toilet thing really has me going like that. They've designed the toilet intentionally so that you can sell toilet brushes. Because again, if you don't get exactly over the hole, then the poop falls on the side, stains the bowl. Now you got to come in with the brush. So I'm going to look into whether the toilet companies actually own the brush companies as well. It's conspiracy.
It could be a grand conspiracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it came up in the P. Diddy indictment.
Indictment. Yeah. How about that, James? All right, Mo, I want to ask you a question on sourdough. I'm really fascinated by sourdough. Yeah. So, Mark, and you didn't hear it too. So it lowers the glycemic level. Mm-hmm. So actually educate me on the glycemic level, Mo.
Yeah, well, so glycemic index is basically just a measure of how quick your blood sugar rises after you consume something. And there's lots of factors that go into why something spikes your blood sugars. So for example, let's use something that would spike your blood sugars really quick, like candy, like gummy bears. Super, it's just a concentrated source of sugar. It's going to skyrocket, right? Versus something that is more of a complex carbohydrate, like a sweet potato with the skin. Still carbohydrates. And even if you have as many of those carbohydrates as equal to the grams in gummy bears, like same kind of level, the fiber is going to slow down how quickly your blood sugars spike. So fiber and the complexity of carbohydrates become a really big factor in how quick your blood sugar spike after you consume something. So sourdough, as it relates to other kind of breads, helps slow down that spike in blood sugar. So that's why that's why you'll hear like it has a lower glycemic index as compared to other carbs.
Is what that happens because in sourdough bread, the making of it, you're making that sourdough starter, which
the fermentation process, right?
Okay, jump in there, Mark.
Well, no, it's what Molly says is 100% correct. And, it's if you're an athlete, you have to factor in your glycemic index of the foods. If it's pre-game, you want things that are low glycemically, that are going to, like Tamale's point, take a while to digest. So you get an even longer period of sugar. And then if it's after the game, you want to replenish your glycogen stores. You want something that's going to get that sugar, so to speak, back in there. So that
So
you're
in
ready
theory,
to go.
then, so in theory then, Molly, if you eat those like those gummies, for example, if you eat gummies with sourdough bread, would the sourdough bread kind of counter what's some of the sugar you
Yeah.
brought in?
So the interesting thing, and I don't dislike the glycemic index, but it's not the whole story. So, for example, you let's use your Easter meal as an example. You had steak, great source of protein, right? And sourdough bread, which still does spike your blood sugar some. Protein also helps stabilize out blood sugars. So it kind of depends, as what Mark is saying, depending on what result you want. But for a longer lasting energy and balancing those blood sugars, that's why also pairing up a protein rich food with something that's high glycemic index can be super beneficial as far as getting that blood sugar balance. So it's kind of complex. It's complicated. And Mark, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but the only thing I want to clarify with the pre-workout thing and the energy is immediately pre-workout. So I'm talking like during a run or right like before your feet are getting ready to hit the ice. You actually, that is a time you want that quick digesting, high glycemic sugar.
Yeah, they have the
Like
squeezable
the gels,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gummies,
yeah.
the goos, because literally, and I'm just going to use this as an example, and we'll talk about during exercises. For example, you wouldn't want to have a slice of high fiber bread during a marathon. It's going to sit in your stomach like a lead balloon. It's going to be harder to digest. Where those gels, those goos, those gummies, it's quick energy. Your body's going to burn it right up for fuel. So it kind of like, to Mark's point, before like that pregame meal, having some fiber there would make sense. But right before the time of exercise, you do want to shift gears as well into that higher glycemic, within reason. It not a sugary soda. So I could go on and on and on about that. But yeah.
Mark, you know what was an interesting topic?
What's that?
I'm sure you in the boxing world, smelling salts. Are they bad for you?
Not bad for you. It's really just is it ammonia? I think that's all it is. I mean, you could take ammonia and do the same thing. It just kind of jumpstarts your wake up, so to speak.
Right.
There's really no reason to do it for performance. Right. It's not going to improve your performance in any way. It's kind of an old school thing that if a guy got hit hard and he's kind of out of it, it's not going to do anything because the reason you're out of it is you've been concussed. And you're suffering from that.
Yeah. So it is like more of a custom, like in the hockey world, right? You see the guys in the bench now still, they do it like they're shaking their head a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gives them a jolt.
Yeah.
But again, if it works, it works. If it's even a placebo. But when you were asking about the boxing, there's nothing. And you see it in all the old movies where the guy's like almost passed out and they wait. Well, that's just not true. He's passed out.
He wins the
he's
national
concussed.
championship.
No, he's concussed.
Yeah.
You got to stop the fight.
What do you think, Molly?
I was just going to say a funny story. So our boys play hockey. One still plays. One is no longer playing because of concussions, actually. But the one that's still playing, he came home from a game. He's like, Mom, can you take me? Like, where do we go to buy smelling salts? I'm like, wait, what? Why? Like, what's going on? But they see a pro, they see somebody they look up to doing something, teenagers, and they're so impressionable. It's like, well, if that works for them and helps their game, then
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one. Our listener here, Danny Erickson, has a good question here. I think I've seen a tennis player eat a banana between sets. What was the benefit of that? What is so jump on that, Mark?
Well, a banana will replace your glycogen stores rather rapidly.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, a tennis match could go on for 3, 4. Some of these are endurance. So again, this is a very specific reason he's doing the bananas, because he wants to restore that glycogen very quickly. and it's the same way as Molly was just mentioning, the gels do the same thing essentially. And again, those are both really good sources of sugar, or i.e. energy. You don't want to be like, you see some kids in a rink, I'm going to have a Snickers bar before the game. That's probably not the way to do it. Better choice.
So me eating chips or white cookies back when I was playing, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom, just imagine your stats if you had all the sports nutrition piece.
Yeah.
You would just been.
Oh yeah, we knew nothing about our foods. You know, about what we're putting in our body. No idea. It was beer, steak. We made the what do they call it? Irish pasta with the. So we just get the pasta with the butter and the Parmesan cheese on it, and that was our. Then we'd have a big bowl of ice cream before we went to bed. Took the nap. Oh God, yeah. Oh, that is true. I look back now, like the training methods. Days. Yeah, the training methods. You know, training after games. We drank beer after the games. We didn't train. It was like, yeah.
You're on a train.
Yeah. Yeah. Not far from it. Yeah. So the banana thing then, and we touched on this before, and I think I asked you already, Molly. I saw a video where a guy claimed to eat the bananas green was better because it didn't have as much sugar in it. As it ripens, it gets more sugar. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is truly accurate. But in the case of where you're using it during a tennis match, you're having it because you want that sugar. So,
okay.
You know, like if you're starting your day with a banana and you choose a greener banana then because you're heading into a day of meetings or something like that, that would make sense. But when you're looking for that quick energy, especially during activity, you'd want that ripened up sugary banana to get the maximize that energy.
Mm-hmm. What about like in the playoffs? Sometimes you see these teams are playing like 3 or 4 periods of overtime. They got to be getting something in their body, right? Do they eat bananas? Is that what they have then?
Yeah, you know, there's also though, and it kind of depends on the organization, but I recall when I was working with the Binghamton Senators, they went to the Calder Cup Finals and actually won it in 2011.
All because of their diets, Molly. All because of the diet.
It was a factor. No, I would never ever say, but they were just an amazing group. But I was getting these like urgent text messages because we hadn't anticipated the fully thought through the overtime situation to the extent that we probably should have. And I think it was in the looking like going into a third overtime, and like, what about players are asking for pizza? Can we do pizza? Like, listen, at this point, whatever is comfortable for them and will be okay for them mentally is what we're going to do. So in a perfect world, you would kind of rethink and like future state, we had rethought like, okay, what are some strategies? What are different things we could do or try? But quick digesting carbs. So pretzels, something simple, easy on the stomach. Guys who were so, exhausted that couldn't eat, you'd want to have other things like gels or chews or something, a drink. And if pizza is kind of like a comfort food and just mentally works.
Right.
But yeah, you definitely need fuel.
Right. So Mark, if it did have pizza, what would the pizza be doing to the body?
Be doing to the body in this particular case?
Yep.
Providing calories. Calories is really just an equation. It's energy. And part of which the other thing is, I'm sure they knew this already, but rehydrate in those kind of situations. You got to really, really rehydrate. That's probably more critical than the food itself, I would think, at that point.
Well, that's a good subject, rehydrating. So is water the best thing to rehydrate with?
Absolutely. Right. Well, no, I shouldn't say. Let me pull that back. It depends on how many electrolytes you're losing in whatever you're doing, because you need to replace the electrolytes as well.
Right.
So, Pedialyte's probably, when I've done endurance things, like when I did that crazy thing in New York and I boxed 60 rounds, I had Pedialyte. I just kept sipping on it.
Right. How about coconut water, Molly?
Yeah, coconut water is hydrating. And what's interesting about coconut water, it has naturally occurring electrolytes, so potassium, for example. From a pure sports performance standpoint, it is not balanced to the level of electrolytes that you would necessarily want for really high intensity and high kind of refueling situations. But what I like with coconut water, and I always encourage athletes to drink mostly plain old water. Mm-hmm. But what I like about coconut water is it's a pretty mild flavor too. It's kind of easy on the palate, something different. It's not overly sugary, like to the level of a sports drink. So I often recommend it as like hey, if you need to switch up your hydration instead of going the route of like a sugary drink or something like that, I love coconut water for that kind of purpose as well.
Good. And now your pickle juice is still the best though, right?
Pickle juice is nice and salty. It's still a great option because salt is the number one, or sodium is the number one electrolyte lost in sweat. So that's where that comes in for sure.
Okay. Did we talk about salt? Like
Yeah.
my son, I think we did, right? My son, he's no problem. He said, no, I enjoy my salt. It's not bad. But I guess it's like the whole big picture. Like what's your health like? You know, how much you're hydrating, what's your workouts, how much you're sweating.
And there's different types of salt. I mean, you have sea salt, Himalayan sea salt. You also have salt with iodine in it. But then, and Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you look at labeling, it has sodium. It's not always a salt. It could be a sodium nitrate or something else that has preservative qualities to it. It's not really salt.
How about capers? Capers are good for you. They're a fruit. They're a great antioxidant, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're, speaking of salty, they add great flavor to food.
Yeah.
Great brine.
Yeah.
I rinsed mine off. I did a little research. I guess a lot of preservatives in the jar they come in. So I rinsed them off to get all that stuff off, but still have that. So when I make up my homemade ketchup, I put capers in for that salty flavor.
Oh, yum.
Yes.
Little crunch.
Oh man, I'm getting going on cooking now. I've got going to the new level. All the pasta I'm making, the sushi I'm making, everything like that. Oh.
I love it.
Yeah. You know, I'd love like learning. I think I've learned to learn more about cooking and working out and diets and all that.
Yeah.
So it's
Never ends.
Yeah, it does.
No.
Mark, you're going for therapy after this on your shoulder?
Yeah. It's so you have your AC and then there's a space, and my space is pretty small from too many years of overhead stuff, throwing baseballs and whatnot. So getting that worked on, and it's getting better. If not, they got to put a spacer in there, but I'm trying to avoid that.
No, I mean this is very serious. You're very knowledgeable about all the stuff. Do you think you could actually do therapy yourself?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it because I'm not licensed, but yeah, I've been around it. Like, when I work with Rammer and guys like that, I pick up a lot. And then, unfortunately, just my own injuries, I've been through it on PT. Yeah. Pretty good with shoulders now. Yeah.
So we're frozen here. Are you guys frozen? I'm frozen.
No, Molly, you're good still, right?
I'm
both good. Okay.
I think, Tom, you are frozen.
Right. Okay.
We can hear you though.
Yeah, we'll keep going then.
But it's more about prevention, Tom, than anything else.
Yeah. Right. But as far as the knowledge of what you're doing, you could do it yourself. I mean, if you could manipulate it yourself, you could.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Cool. Very good. Mark has got this information. We were sitting here talking one day, Molly. You started talking about funeral homes. Was it funeral homes we got onto?
Yeah.
Where they started and everything. You give us that spiel again. I thought that was
up till the Civil War, there weren't any funeral homes. You passed away in your home, usually on your farm or somewhere rural, and they just buried you next to old Uncle Joe somewhere out in the field. But the Civil War, there was so many casualties, and especially down south, that they actually started stacking up bodies in homes, people's homes, and then somebody. They did surgeries in there. It was kind of a very brutal situation, but eventually that's how they began. But up to that point,
funeral home. Wow.
Ah.
See, that's like that kind of information. Mark has lots of that information.
Lots of useless information.
No.
Like Cliff on what was that show? Yeah.
Well, I was always wondering, like, why do you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway, right?
But you told me, you educated me on that one.
I don't know this one. Tell me.
Well, the parkway is a road that used to go around a park.
Oh,
that's the parkway.
Yeah.
You park on the driveway because you drive. Well, I can't remember that, Mark. What was it?
You told me it's about a farm. Like you drive away to get to the, I don't know, wherever you had the feed or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's interesting. Like I was reading the other day, and a lot of things we say, like piss poor. We have no idea why we say someone's piss poor, because people, when used to collect it and sell it to the tanners because they use it for tanning hides.
Ah.
So people that didn't have any money would, piss poor. So, yeah.
Funny stuff. What was the other couple of ones we're talking about? Let's get back on diet and everything. Mark, how are your workouts going? You know what? By the way, I should compliment you. I really listen to you more now about cutting down my workouts to that 45-minute thing. It kind of bugs me at first to do it. I like working out, but then I realized I felt so much better the next day. Like I'm not beating myself up as much.
Yeah. So your next workout is only as good as your recovery. So Yeah, that's a
I
good
like
way to
that.
think about it. Yeah. And it's something that's not really talked about too much in the fitness industry about recovery. It's just kind of boring. You know, you're going to rest. So
Right.
how do we make that? It's hard to make that exciting for someone who really wants to get at it and work hard.
Right.
You know, but you know, you had mentioned also, Tom, that when you played for Herbie, you know, Cardiac Jack put
Yep.
together with Herb the whole season and put in recovery days into the season's schedule, which is really critical.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And,
loved it too. Like,
I-
it's the old time coaches, as soon as you had a bad game, you're going to go to the rink and they're skate you for 45 minutes, right?
Right.
Always.
Yeah. So that's a big part. And I would say that most professional sports across the board now that have, multiple games a week, schedule in some recovery days. And the not, I don't want to use the word therapeutics, but the protocols now for therapy.
Oh, we lost Mark.
Yeah.
All right.
We can't see you either, Tom, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm going to reboot really quick here. I know Mark's got to get going here soon. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Mark's still talking.
Hey, Mark. We're just holding on the line here, everybody. If you are still following along, Tom's rebooting the system, and Mark is holding the line as well. So stay tuned. If you're watching, share some
There we go.
comments or questions with us. All right, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm back.
Mark, can you hear us?
You should be all right. Remember talking to okay, I got a question for you, Molly. Stretching.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on when should you stretch, or before a workout, after a workout? How important is it?
Well, I think stretching is so important, and I'd love to hear Mark's take on this. So I hope that we can hear him here sooner than later. But stretching to me is one of those things I find so important. I actually work yoga into my routine several times a week because tight muscles make for so many problems, from back pain to, injury and so on. So anyhow, stretching before or after, though, I think it really depends on what you're doing. And I would defer to kind of Mark, like, if you're warming up to go for a run, you've got to obviously get warmed up and get stretched out a little, give your body time. You don't want to just put those sneakers to the pavement and take off sprinting. So it kind of depending what you're doing, though, but definitely whether it's warming up, if you want to think of it that way, but stretching before and certainly after to cool down as well, I think. But
very cool. Yeah. You know what, though? I'm terrible. I tell everybody else they should stretch. I think you should warm up a little bit first and do some stretching, then stretch at the end. But I'm terrible. I'm off. It's just, I want to get in the gym and work out. Stretching is like boring. Oh.
I know my husband's a physical therapist, actually. So he's the one that, like, if all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my back is kind of bothering, he's like, Molly, have you been stretching?
Oh, yeah.
When's the last time you did your yoga? And as long as I do the yoga, and because I get impatient as well.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. Yeah. Yoga's so good for you, too. I did yoga years ago. Well, I single. So obviously a lot of guys do yoga because there's women in there with the yoga pants on. So that's let's be honest.
Whatever gets you going.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, that's the attraction. But it is good for you. Well, Molly, good to see you again. I'm sure we had a little bit of a technical snafus here today. But,
no worries. Worries.
How's it cold up there?
Yeah, it's really snowing out right now.
Oh, really? Oh,
like
wow.
Crazy. Crazy. I don't know how much we're supposed to get, but it's April 5th and it's snowing like crazy.
Now, are you big in the solar eclipse? You're gonna be watching that?
I do have the eclipse glasses ready to roll. I'm a little, not that I'm not excited, but I just there is so much hype over this.
I know, yeah. Like they're talking about traffic jams and all this kind of stuff. It's like,
yeah, we have a great view from our house, so I feel pretty blessed. Like we can literally just sit on our back porch and we'll see what we see. But we're not planning to go anywhere or anything like that.
I'm with you.
How about you?
Oh yeah, I just like what's the excitement of a solar eclipse? It's the sun and the moon crossing each other. But
Well, and there's been many eclipses
Yeah.
before, but this one just feels like, and I don't know if it's because we're closer, like where we live in upstate, we're like right in the path
Oh.
of totality. So
Yeah.
that should be pretty exciting. But
and what is it? 11 o'clock in the morning on Monday? Is it?
no. Well, it depends where you are. So for us here in upstate, it'll be like around 3-ish, like
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay.
But upstate New York weather, I feel really bad for people that are like traveling super far. I
Right.
mean, right now, if there was the eclipse this afternoon, no one would see a thing.
Oh, that's right
It's
too.
a cloudy, snowy sky.
Right. I'm thinking the world's coming to an end. We get earthquakes here. We get earthquakes in Taiwan, floods in Dubai, floods in Pittsburgh, floods
Yeah,
down in
it's wild times. I think just enjoy every
I know. Don't you think part of it is too that we have so much more ability to see things around the world now with the internet and everything? It's always been going on. Now we just see it more. But
yeah, there's definitely, I think, factors that play into it of the media and so on, which it's good and bad.
Yeah. Actually. All right, Molly, great to see you again. We will see you next week.
You bet. I'll be back. Mark, if you can hear us at all, good luck with your PT this afternoon. And the comments that folks have been writing in, I'm definitely taking a look at them. And so if you're watching, write in, send us some questions. We'll be happy to try and talk about them.
Excellent, Molly. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Say hello to the family.
Same.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.